United Airlines, the company announcing that CEO Oscar Munoz, will be turning over the job as Chief Executive Officer effective in May. Munoz will be stepping down as CEO. He will be elevated to the position of Executive Chairman. Replacing Munoz effective next May, President Scott Kirby. Kirby was brought over to United from American Airlines back in 2016 with the mandate to improve the performance of the airline, to make it more profitable, particularly here in North America where it was trailing its competitors. Just a few minutes ago, both Munoz and Kirby sent out a video message announcing the transition to employees at United. Here's what they had to say.
This is meant to be a very seamless transition until May of 2020. Scott and I will continue in our same roles, doing the thing that you've seen us do before, specifically from my perspective on our customer culture and importantly for you and our employees.
We have an incredibly strong position and an incredibly bright future ahead. And personally, I'm excited to spend even more time out with all of you, listening to you, sharing your enthusiasm for the future, and together building the best airline in the history of aviation.
If you are not familiar with the airline industry or with United Airlines, you might be saying, well, who is Scott Kirby and why is he going to become CEO starting next May? As I mentioned, Kirby was brought to United in 2016. But the backstory behind Kirby is that from 2006 to 2016, he was the top lieutenant for Doug Parker as they turned America West into U.S. Air into American Airlines, and they really racked up impressive performance. That's why Munoz brought Kirby over in 2016. Since then, United's been on a pretty nice roll, especially here in the last couple of years. So again, Scott Kirby, the architect of the company's rebound, he will now move from president to CEO effective next May. Oscar Munoz will move from CEO to executive chairman. The chairman of United's board of directors currently, Jane Garvey, she will be leaving the board in May. Guys, back to you.
I guess that's the biggest question. I mean, Oscar Munoz has been on a bit of a roll. I guess why take this move now? Because he's only in 5 years. Well,
look at it from the perspective of if you are the United board of directors. You've got Scott Kirby, who is, he's not the only reason that United's done well, but he's a big factor behind it. Rumors have been swirling in the airline industry that American Airlines, which has been struggling this year, the stock is down 26%, rumors have been swirling that perhaps American might be interested in bringing Scott Kirby back to American Airlines. Now, we put this question to the spokespeople at United, and they say, no, this was a case of the board and Oscar Munoz saying it's time for this transition to make it a smooth transition. But let's be clear here, Becky. Scott Kirby is going to be a desired executive within the airline industry, given his track record. And I suspect that the United board said, look, this is a good time for us to transition, have Scott Kirby come in as the CEO. Oscar will stay around at least for a year as executive chairman, and hopefully we can have a smooth transition.
No, this settles it for where Kirby goes. I mean, there's nothing, there's nothing above this, Phil.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Right. And now, look, you know, I'm sure there will be people who will say, oh, look, you know, American didn't reach out to Scott Kirby. We don't know that American was going to hire Scott Kirby. The numbers speak for themselves over the last couple of years. United is performing much better than it did in the past. And if you are not American, maybe you're a different airline. At some point, you might be saying, who's the best person out there for us to straighten things out if we're not doing well?
Phil,
it's a pretty short list in the airline industry, and Scott Kirby is certainly at the top of that list.
Investors are going to look at it and they're going to say United's up 50% over the last 2 years and American's down 50%. We like Oscar. Why is he leaving? And I think an obvious question that's going to get asked is this health related? And I mention that because Oscar had a serious health scare a few years ago.
We asked that question. It is not health related. I think to an extent, Oscar Munoz will look at this transition as a chance to do something very few executives really get a chance to do. Have a smooth transition and perhaps take a bit of a victory lap. I mean, this company, guys, this was a clown car of ineptitude when Oscar Munoz took over. Remember when he took over in 2015?
No kidding.
No, it was trouble.
If you fly out of Newark all the time, you know this.
Well, look, I mean, they had a federal probe where they were trying to influence the New York Port Authority by adding flights to a small city.
Employees who made it miserable to fly. I mean, that airline has changed a lot in the last 5 years.
Awful. You had the Dr. Dow incident where he was dragged off of a plane. You had a flight attendant telling a passenger to put their dog up in an overhead compartment, and the dog died. Ooh. I mean, it was one bad move after another. And they, for a long time, guys, they were known as a sleeping giant in the airline industry. They couldn't get, they were the gang that couldn't shoot straight. And so as a result, they trailed in profit margins, they trailed in customer service, et cetera.